Hermain Cain has shaken things up as the GOP frontrunner. The race is heating up, but a troubling sexual harassment scandal is brewing, and Cain has been backpedaling. We're joined now by Corey Brinson, a Republican councilman from Hartford, running again with Keating, Chrstine Stuart. All right, so the backstory here, Mr. Cain was moving along nicely, was getting a lot of support, and all of a sudden, bombshell now, 12 years ago, allegedly, there are at least 2 women who accused him, allegedly, of sexual harassment. Allegedly, there was a settlement made, and he now has not been very forthright on the nature and detail of that, and so now people are saying, hey, is this going to hurt his candidacy? Corey Brinson joined us here, Republican, councilman, politician. Your thoughts on Cain and how he's handling this situation?
A couple of thoughts. First, I think it's the scrutiny that comes with running for President of the United States, the most powerful position in the world, that you're going to have your whole life will be checked out and will be your dirty laundry will be aired out for the American public. So don't run for President of the United States if you can't deal with the heat. I think Herman Cain could do a better job of handling it. As a local politician and an attorney myself, I would advise him to have a press conference, get it all out, the good, the bad, and have it be done. But the story can't continue to drip out day by day, piece by piece, because what could be a 1-week story ends up being a 2-month story, and that would only hurt him in the polls.
Let's take a look at the evolution of Herman Cain's response over the last few days. Take a look.
Will you call for the National Restaurant Association to waive the details of this agreement so the women involved can speak freely about the events as they arose?
I can't answer that now, Brett, because there are legal implications. In all of my over 40 years of business experience, running businesses and corporations, I have never sexually harassed anyone. I do recall that she was asking for a large sum of money. I don't remember what that sum of money was, but as the review of this moved forward, that sum of money, my attorney negotiating with her attorney, got less and less and less because her attorney started to figure out she didn't have a valid claim.
All right, got 2 journalists here. Questions, Mr. Keating, Ms. Stewart. What questions would you have if Herman Cain showed up for a press conference? What question would you have?
Well, one basically, as far as the story goes, one clip that you didn't have there, he was asked about it. He said he didn't remember the woman's name. Mm-hmm. This is on the main allegation. Didn't remember her name and didn't remember how old she was. Now, something like this is pretty serious business. Generally, you would know who the person was, or you would remember their name, and you generally would remember possibly how old they would be. But anyway, back to Corey's point, he did the exact opposite in the middle of the week, as opposed to what Corey said, holding a press conference in front of everyone. When he was confronted by the press, he basically blew everyone off and walked away from them. The exact opposite of what Corey's advice was going to be. So he was at an event. He was semi-surrounded by reporters, and he said, look, I know you're all here to ask about these allegations, and I'm not going to talk about it. Please excuse me, I have to go. And he walked away from them. Mm. So that's not what Corey was talking about.
Any questions from your standpoint if you were to interview him?
Well, I mean, there are issues that come up, employment discrimination, sexual harassment lawsuits. He should have been prepared for this. And, his campaign organization should have known that this was there, and they should have had a prepared response, and it sounds like they have.
That's a very fair point. Did Herman Cain come clean with his staff? Because Chrstine raised a very good point. I mean, you kind of air all your dirty laundry out there in the campaign, and you have a plan B and a plan C. It appears that he didn't tell his staff this, or if he did, they weren't very well prepared with the response, and now he's backpedaling hard. So in hindsight, someone once said to me that when in doubt, tell the truth. And what's Cain's issue now is that he's always come across as a straight shooter. Right, that's been his calling card. He's not a politician. He's a straight shooter. He tells it as it is. Now he's starting to backpedal. Once people start seeing, well, gee, he's capable of fighting the truth, too, he can hurt his appeal overall. Fair to say?
Yeah, what we don't know how big this is going to be, but what we do know is that
it's not going away.
Right, what I was going to say, that it has derailed his message. We don't know, to Corey's point, we don't know how long this is going to last or how this will turn out or how big this will be. But in the short term, it has already derailed his message. It has already derailed his strategy and disrupted whatever he was going to do.
It's a distraction, right?
Yeah.
Clearly.
I ultimately don't think that the story is going to have a lot of traction because I don't think with the unemployment rate being as high as it is and the economy in shambles that voters are going to care about sexual harassment claim that long ago that it could upset Herman Cain's chances. We knew about Barack Obama's drug use. We knew about George W. Bush's drunk driving arrests and his prior issues with drugs. We knew about Clarence Thomas's sexual harassment allegations, and these people have been able to move through those storms, and I don't see this one being different.
Well, here's the difference, though, is that those guys were forthright. Barack Obama very forthright on his drug use. It's coming across that Cain is not being forthright. And I think, in and of itself, the charge probably would not be a big deal. But if in deal he's perceived as waffling on a daily basis, then that becomes a character issue for him. Your thoughts? Integrity and character. That, in the day, it's about his integrity and character for a guy that was the calling card for him for this whole campaign. The guy who wasn't a politician, pizza king, but he had a lot of integrity, character. Now people are saying, well, gee, is he being honest?
I think it's still too early. Think of all the amazing things that came out about Bill Clinton. People, Republicans, each thing that came out about Whitewater and this and that and this and that. There was an amazing series of things that came out with Clinton that some people and have said publicly, oh, I thought that was going to knock him out of the race. So the next one, that was going to knock him out of the race. And bottom line, it didn't. So I'm not downplaying the Cain thing. All I'm saying is that we don't know. It's too early. That's all I'm saying.
I want to inject about 30 seconds. Race, issue of race, black conservative. The fact that this came out, he was gaining in popularity. And there are those who are going to increase their support with this happening and those who will stand away. The issue of him being a black conservative is any credence that race played a part and that the perception of him may change for some who weren't quite convinced that he was the real deal. Are some going to be more reticent to support him because there's race involved and now sex?
I say no because the issue of race and politics was answered with the election of Barack Obama in this country. And the fact that Herman Cain is now, in some of the more recent polls, the front runner for the GOP nomination and came from really nowhere, I think speaks to the Republican base. So while race and gender will always play a role in our politics in America, and ethnicity will play a role, I don't think it's a decisive factor whether he survives or not on the presidential campaign trail.
A Cain-Obama race would be fascinating for all kinds of reasons if it were to happen in 2012. But we're out of here now in 5 seconds. Good to have you guys here. We'll continue to have you on as we develop this story. When we come back, folks, we'll take a sneak preview at the UConn men's and women's hoops team. Is a back-to-back championship doable for the men? Scott Gray from WTIC News Talk 1080.